I booked a private room, paid upfront, and sent out calendar invites. Best Reddit stories. My name's Ethan, I'm 33, and for the past decade or so, I've pretty much been the family's unofficial safety net. You know how there's always that one person in every family? The one who swoops in when someone's short on rent, hands out loans that never see the light of day again, picks up the check without a second thought, and makes sure nobody winds up crashing in their car? Yeah, that's been me. I never really griped about it because, honestly, I figured that's just part of being family. You step up. You take care of your own. Growing up broke, I made a promise to myself that once I got my feet under me, I'd do whatever I could so no one else in the family had to go through what I did. But recently, I've come to a hard realization. There's a fine line between being generous and letting yourself get walked all over. What went down on my birthday this year made that line clearer than ever. I wasn't aiming for some huge blowout. I just wanted a simple, meaningful get-together. Nothing flashy, just the people I love, some good food, a few laughs, a chance for all of us to slow down and really connect. I found this nice little spot nearby, Riverside Grill. Nothing crazy fancy, but nice enough to feel special. Reserved a private room and paid the $350 fee up front, non-refundable, of course. I even picked a place smack dab in the middle of everyone's neighborhood so nobody could say it was too far. I put together a calendar invite and sent it out texted, emailed, to everybody. Mom, Linda, Dad, Frank, my older sister Samantha and her husband Nick, my younger brother Lucas, even my cousin Chloe and her boyfriend Tyler. The ones who somehow show up to every family thing but never invite anyone back. I made sure to send a reminder a week ahead, and again 2 days before, just so it stayed fresh in their minds. When the day finally rolled around, I was pumped. I threw on the blazer my mom had given me for Christmas, showed up 20 minutes early, checked with the staff that the cake was good to go, and settled in to wait. At first, I wasn't worried. My family's notorious for running late. I figured maybe someone hit traffic, or one of the little ones had a diaper emergency or something. I ordered myself a drink, scrolled through my phone, smiling, already picturing the chaos of everyone showing up all at once, apologizing and laughing. But 25 minutes ticked by. Then 40. Still nothing. So I shot a text in the group chat. Hey, just checking in. I'm here when y'all are ready. Silence. No one answered. An hour crept by, and that's when I felt the first sting of something real ugly. Not anger yet, more like this tight, awful knot in my chest. Pure embarrassment. I glanced around at the room. Table still set perfectly, candles flickering over plates nobody had touched. A waiter came by, giving me that soft, awkward smile you save for lost puppies and pity cases, and asked if I wanted to go ahead and order. I told him I'd wait just a few more minutes. 5 minutes more, I decided. That's when my phone buzzed, Instagram notification. I opened it, and my stomach dropped straight through the floor. There it was, fresh post from Samantha. A group photo. At a steakhouse. Not just Samantha and Nick, no, everyone. Linda, Frank, Lucas, Chloe, even Tyler, grinning like he'd just hit the jackpot. The caption? Family night. Grateful for the real ones. Hashtag blessed. I just sat there staring, like someone had punched the wind out of me. I scrolled down, half in a daze. My aunt had commented, looks like a blast. Missing Ethan? And Samantha had the audacity to reply. He had his own plans tonight, I think. My own plans. Yeah, my plans were sitting alone at that table, waiting on them. At first, I wasn't even sad. I just felt blank. Then came the nausea. I didn't blow up their phones. Didn't text. Didn't comment. Didn't call. I just got up, handed the waiter a tip that cost more than the drink I'd barely touched, and walked out with my hands trembling. Driving home, my emotions shifted, first confusion, then deep humiliation, and finally, something sharper, something colder. Clarity. This wasn't some innocent mistake. This wasn't a mix-up or someone forgetting to pass along a message. This was on purpose. And the more I thought about it, the more the memories came flooding back. Last Christmas, when they conveniently forgot to tell me dinner had moved to Lucas' condo. The family group chats were somehow I was always the afterthought. Samantha's bridal shower, 5 years ago, how she stood there thanking every single person but me, even though I paid for the cake and all the custom decorations out of my own pocket. I had brushed it all off for years, chalked it up to people being careless or busy. But this wasn't carelessness. This was deliberate. This wasn't just forgetfulness. It was exclusion, wrapped up in steak dinners and cute hashtags. Sitting there, it hit me like a freight train. This wasn't just being left out by accident. This was exclusion, plain and simple, just dressed up with fancy dinners and Instagram filters. And as I sat there, I started replaying all the things I'd done for them over the years. The $450 I sent Mom, Linda, every single month, so she could keep living in that senior complex she loved so much. Willow Garden Senior Living? That was me. Dad's, Frank's, car insurance payments that magically stayed up to date ever since he got laid off back in 2017? Yeah, also me. I linked it to my bank account and told him, "Don't worry, just pay me back when you can." Spoiler alert, that repayment never came. Samantha and Nick's wedding photographer? Yours truly, behind the camera. Lucas' first apartment security deposit when he took off for Austin? Yep, my bank account again. Chloe's emergency dental bill when her crown cracked on vacation? Guess who covered it? Me. And through it all, I never kept a tally. I never threw it back in their faces. I honestly believed that when the time came, when something really mattered, they'd be there for me too. Like, maybe on my birthday. When I got home that night, I didn't even turn the lights on. I just dropped onto the couch, sitting there in the dark. Wasn't crying. Wasn't even sure I could. I just kept refreshing that Instagram post, watching the likes climb, like the universe itself was giving me a slow, painful confirmation that I didn't matter as much to them as I thought. Sure, I could have fired off some passive-aggressive texts. I could have called up someone and demanded an explanation. But I didn't. Instead, I grabbed my phone and opened my banking app. First move, I killed the automatic transfer for Mom's, Linda's, rent. No rent payment coming this month. Willow Garden Senior Living would be sending out a notice real soon. Next, Dad's, Frank's, auto payment for car insurance? Cancelled. That policy would be dead in the water unless he jumped on it quick. One by one, I went down the line. Every silent little favor, every piece of financial support I'd been handing out month after month. Cancelled. Gone. And then, just for good measure, I posted something to my Instagram story. Nothing loud, nothing messy. Just a picture of the untouched birthday cake sitting lonely on the table with a caption that said, "Just a reminder, I'm the one who's been paying Mom's rent and Dad's car insurance." No tags, no names. But I didn't need to. They knew exactly who that message was for. And sure enough, by the next morning, my phone was blowing up. Mom, Linda, had called 4 times actually. Dad, Frank, had texted asking if everything was all right. Even Lucas dropped me a message. "Dude, Samantha says you're overreacting. We didn't think it would be a big deal." And then Samantha herself, of course it was Samantha, messaged me too. Wow, if you had a problem, you could have just said something. No need to air out dirty laundry like that. Dirty laundry. Right. Because apparently I was the problem, not the fact they had gone out and left me sitting alone on my own birthday. I didn't respond. Not to a single one of them. I let the calls go to voicemail. I left every text on read. Honestly, I didn't even know what I was hoping for. An apology? Some kind of explanation? Maybe I just wanted them to sit in the silence for once, to feel that gut-wrenching emptiness I felt sitting at that empty table. Let the overdue bills stack up. Let the utilities start warning them. Let them finally feel what life's like without the guy they were so quick to take for granted. And funny enough, that silence, it hit them way faster and way harder than I ever expected. By midday, Mom, Linda, had called me for separate times. The last voicemail she left was all cheery and clueless. "Hey honey, not sure if you got my message earlier. Just checking in. I think something weird happened with the rent this month. Probably just a glitch. Anyway, love you. Call me back, okay?" A glitch. Sure, Mom. Because $450 a month magically disappearing is just some tech hiccup, right? Then Dad, Frank, texted, "Got a notice about the car insurance. Are you sure you updated the card? Looks like it's overdue. Call me when you can." Like it was just some little mistake. Like I had simply forgotten to keep carrying the entire load on my back. And then there was Samantha. Oh man, Samantha. Her first message was classic her. "Seriously, Ethan? You're making a fool of yourself. We didn't mean to exclude you. We were just grabbing a casual dinner. You're blowing this way out of proportion." When I didn't answer, she came back an hour later with another one. "You could have just said you were feeling left out. No need to scare Mom and Dad like this." I sat there staring at that one for a long time. What got me wasn't just the gaslighting. It was how fast she twisted it around, from laughing at me to blaming me for their choices, their actions. Like I was somehow wrong for reacting to their cruelty instead of just swallowing it down like I always had. But this time wasn't about hurt feelings. It was about recognizing a choice, a very conscious, deliberate choice. They didn't forget about me. They didn't think I wouldn't care. They knew exactly what they were doing. And that truth? That stung way worse than I ever could have prepared for. I didn't text her back. Didn't text any of them back. Not a word. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I had too much. It wasn't like I didn't have words. Honestly, it was the opposite. I had too many boiling up in me. And none of them, not a single one, would have fixed the real, raw truth of it. They didn't value me. They only valued what I could give them. Who I was didn't seem to matter nearly as much as what I brought to the table. The next few days were just silent. Painfully, deafeningly silent. No shiny new posts from Samantha. No cheerful check-in calls from Mom, Linda. Nothing. But on the fourth day, the silence broke. Lucas showed up at my doorstep. Literally. I opened the door, and there he was, standing there like he'd just wandered over to borrow a wrench or ask about football scores. Hood up, hands shoved deep in his pockets, this awkward half-grin on his face. "Hey, man," he said casually, like we hadn't skipped right over my birthday like it was nothing. I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. "Didn't realize you were in town," I said. "Yeah, I drove up," he replied, glancing around. "Wanted to talk. Face to face." I stepped aside and let him in. He strolled past me like it was still his house, like nothing between us had shifted, like he hadn't been a no-show at the one dinner that actually mattered to me. He dropped onto my couch, patted the empty cushion beside him. "You mad?" he asked, grinning like this was some minor misunderstanding. That question lit a fuse inside me. I didn't sit down. "Mad?" I repeated, voice steady. "No, Lucas. I was humiliated. Big difference." He held up his hands in a half-hearted peace offering. "All right, fair. But come on, man. It wasn't some big plot or anything. We were just trying to have a chill night out. Nobody was trying to hurt you," he added, like that somehow erased it. I walked to the kitchen, grabbed a glass, filled it with water just to have something to hold, something to focus on besides the anger simmering inside me. I stood by the window for a beat before turning back toward him. "Lucas, I wasn't invited," I said plainly. He frowned, eyebrows pulling together. "That's not true." "Then explain something to me," I said, my voice tight. "Why did nobody answer when I sent the invites? Why didn't a single person text me back from the restaurant? Why did Samantha tell people I had other plans? You all knew I was sitting there, waiting, alone. And then you posted that group photo like I didn't even exist." Lucas looked away, scratching at his jaw like maybe he could scrape together a decent excuse. "We didn't think you'd care, man," he mumbled. "You've always seemed so." "I don't know. Self-sufficient." I let out a short, bitter laugh. "Self-sufficient? You mean because I pay for everything? Because I don't ask for anything back?" He didn't say a word. Didn't have to. "Yeah," I said, nodding slowly. "That's what I thought." He shifted uncomfortably on the couch, like the air in the room had gotten too heavy for him. "Look," he said, trying to sound reasonable. "Mom and Dad are kind of freaking out. They're saying something's off with the rent. Dad's stressing about his car insurance, too. Could you maybe just give them a little heads up before you pull something like this next time?" I walked over, calm as ever, and set my glass down on the coffee table, nice and slow. "Lucas, I've been giving them heads-ups for years," I said. "Every single month. In the form of silent support, without any fanfare, without so much as a thank you. You just never noticed, because I never made a big deal about it. You don't get to suddenly care now just because you finally heard the silence." He stood up then, his frustration boiling over. "So what? You're just going to cut everyone off? You think you're punishing us, but all you're doing is making life harder for everyone." "No," I said, steady and clear. "You did that yourselves, the minute you decided I wasn't family enough to sit at your table." He stood there for a long beat, staring at me, mouth opening like he might say something. And then snapping shut again when he realized he had nothing that wouldn't sound defensive or weak. "I should go," he muttered finally. I didn't argue. I just nodded once and opened the door for him. He hesitated on the threshold, glancing back over his shoulder. "This feels petty, Ethan," he said quietly. "Maybe you've just forgotten what it feels like to be left out," I said, voice calm, even. And then I shut the door, locked it, stood there for a second, hands still resting on the knob, my heart hammering in my chest. Not because of the fight, not because of anger, because of the sheer, overwhelming weight of finally speaking the truth out loud. I had spent so many years swallowing it down, forcing myself to be the bigger man, convincing myself that needing acknowledgement made me weak. But standing there, I realized the truth. I didn't need to matter. Not because of the money I handed out, not because of the things I could provide, but because of who I was. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to apologize for expecting that. The real fallout hadn't even started yet. Mom, Linda, was still pretending she had no clue what was going on. Dad, Frank, was probably blaming everything on some expired credit card. Samantha? Oh, Samantha would go from smug to downright sulky the second her next spa day got canceled because Dad didn't Venmo her back fast enough. I could already feel the storm gathering, but for the first time in a long time, I wasn't scared of it. Not even a little. It took exactly 5 days for everything to fall apart. 5 full days. That's how long the silence lasted, and the chaos right behind it. 5 days where I didn't jump in to fix anything, didn't float the bills, didn't step in to smooth over the disasters everyone else got too comfortable ignoring. By the 6th morning, the fallout finally hit. I woke up to a voicemail from Mom, Linda, and this time, there was nothing chipper about it. Her voice was tight, panicked, trying and failing to sound calm. "Ethan," she said, sharp enough to make my stomach twist. "I don't know what's going on with you, but I just got a notice from the building manager. They said your payment never came through. If it's not sorted by Friday, they're going to start the eviction process. I don't understand. Why would you let this happen? Call me." I listened to that message twice. First time to hear it. Second time to really feel it. And you know what stood out? There was no apology. "No, we're sorry we hurt you. No, we missed you." Just confusion that the golden goose had suddenly stopped laying rent payments. Not a single word about the birthday dinner. Not a single mention of me as a person. Just the rent. 2 hours later, Dad, Frank, chimed in with his own version. His was less panic, more that classic passive-aggressive tone he's perfected over the years. "Hey kiddo," his text said. "Got a letter from the insurance folks. Says the policy's lapsed. You must have switched banks or something. Would have been nice to get a heads up. Anyway, I'm heading to the shop today, so let me know when it's fixed." When it's fixed. Not if. Not can you help. Just the assumption that I would, like clockwork, swoop back and once I'd made my little point. Like all of this was just some dramatic little stunt for attention. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened up the Notes app on my phone and started typing. A list. Everything I had paid for over the last 3 years. Rent. Car insurance. Prescription refills. Electric bills. Wedding gifts. Last-minute emergency loans. Birthday dinners they barely remembered to say thank you for. When I added it up, it came to a little over $38,000. Give or take. I wasn't planning to send it to them or anything. It just felt good to see it written down. Proof that I wasn't crazy. Proof that I hadn't imagined how much I had given, while they had clearly forgotten. The real turning point came that Saturday. I was at home, sorting through emails, half listening to some music, when my doorbell rang. I glanced at the camera feed. It was Samantha, dressed to the nines, hairstyled, oversized sunglasses on, holding what looked like a tray of cupcakes, probably store-bought and repackaged in a decorative tin to make them look homemade. For half a second, I thought about not answering. But some part of me needed to hear what she had to say, needed to see it, face to face. So I cracked the door open. "Samantha," I said flatly. She flashed this tight, fake smile. "Hey," she said, as if we were just casual acquaintances. "Thought I'd swing by. Brought cupcakes." I didn't reach for them. "Why?" I asked. Her smile twitched, faltering just a bit. "Because it's your birthday week," she said. Well, it was. And I know things got a little weird. I leaned my shoulder against the doorframe. "Weird." She let out a dramatic sigh. "Okay. Tense. But you kinda made it tense, Ethan." I raised an eyebrow. "How's that?" "You blew up the group chat with that post," she said, pushing her way inside without being invited, like she always used to do when we were kids. I closed the door and turned around slowly. "Funny," I said. "I don't remember posting anything in the chat." "You know what I mean," she huffed, setting the cupcake tin on the coffee table like it was some kind of peace offering. "You posted that thing about paying Mom's rent and Dad's insurance, and now everyone's losing it, thinking you're cutting them off." "I didn't say I was cutting anyone off," I said calmly, sitting down across from her. "But you did, Ethan," she insisted, her voice rising just a little. "You stopped the payments. You pulled the rug out from under everyone without even giving them a warning." "And you think I owed you a warning?" I asked, locking eyes with her. "Yes," she snapped. It's not just the money, it's the way you did it. You didn't explain anything. You didn't even talk to us first. I sat forward, elbows on my knees, voice steady. Samantha, did you explain anything to me before you organized a dinner across town and left me off the guest list? Did you text me when you decided I wasn't invited? She blinked, caught off guard. It wasn't my dinner, she said quickly. Chloe picked the place. I laughed, a short, empty sound that didn't even feel good coming out. Come on, I said. You tagged everybody. You posted the group picture. You commented that I had my own plans. That was your message, Samantha. And guess what? I finally listened. Her whole posture shifted, the fake sweetness dropped. Her face hardened. This is what I mean. You're being dramatic, she said, arms crossed tight across her chest. We didn't think you'd care. You're always doing your own thing. You never ask for help. You always act like you're better than us. I stood up slowly, letting my height and my silence fill the room. No, I said. I act like someone who knows how to have boundaries. And you know what? I stopped asking because I learned better. The truth is, I stopped asking for anything a long time ago. Not because I didn't need help sometimes, but because I learned in this family, unless you've got some guilt card to play, asking gets you nowhere. But you know what I did do? I showed up. I paid the bills. I covered emergencies. I filled in every single gap without being asked twice. And what did I get in return? A spot behind the scenes, always behind the camera, always a background character in their lives. Samantha set the cupcake tin down on the table and crossed her arms tight across her chest. So what now? She asked, her voice all sharp edges. You want us to beg? You want some big apology? I walked over, picked up the cupcake tin, and handed it right back to her. Steady. No, I said. I just want honesty. If you don't see me as family, that's fine. But don't smile to my face while you erase me behind my back. Don't take my money and then act like it means nothing when I'm gone. You want things back to how they were? I shook my head. That wasn't normal, Samantha. That was survival mode. And I'm done with it. Her face flushed deep red, anger and maybe some guilt battling it out. Mom's scared she's gonna lose her place, she said. Dad's car isn't insured anymore. You're putting them in real danger because you're upset. No, I said, voice low and calm. They put themselves in danger the second they built their lives around a support system they didn't respect, me. All I'm doing is stepping out of the role they handed me without ever asking if I wanted it. For a second, she just stood there, stunned, mouth opening like she had something to say but couldn't quite get it out. Then she turned, stormed toward the door, hand on the knob, but paused just before she opened it. I hope this is worth it, she muttered without looking at me. I hope it makes you think, I shot back. And then she left. The fallout didn't wait long. 2 days later, Mom, Linda, called, her voice trembling with panic, but still no trace of an apology. I don't know what we're supposed to do, Ethan, she cried. They said if we don't settle up by Friday, they're gonna start the eviction process. Why are you doing this to us? I almost picked up. Almost. But instead, I sat down and started writing something I'd been turning over in my head for days, a message I'd send when I was good and ready, not out of guilt, not out of pressure. A message for when I knew they were ready to hear the truth. I gave it a full week. 7 days of unanswered calls. 7 days of muted group chats, so quiet it felt like someone had died. And in a way, something had. The free ride was over. And they were just starting to realize it. Mom, Linda, blew up my phone 5 times in one day. Once to plead. Once to guilt trip me. And 3 more to remind me she wasn't getting any younger and needed stability at her age. Not once did she mention my birthday. Not once did she bring up the dinner. It was all about what they expected from me. Still, just a little more desperate now. Then came a voicemail from Dad, Frank, and that one made me actually sit down to listen. Ethan, he said, voice rougher than usual. I don't know exactly what happened. I know we've made mistakes. Your mom, your sister, me too. But this insurance thing, it's serious. If something happens and I'm not covered, please, son, don't make us suffer for something Samantha did. And that hit differently. Not because he guilted me, no, I'm way past that. But because, for once, he admitted it. He admitted they'd done wrong. He admitted it wasn't me. That honesty was new. Still didn't change the facts, though. He had benefited from the system just as much as anyone else. And standing by, saying nothing, year after year? That's still a choice. That's still complicity. So I pulled up my notes app and wrote the message I knew it was time to send. No drama. No name calling. Just cold, clear honesty. But love without respect isn't really love. Don't punish everyone over one night. We love you. We've always loved you. That part stung more than I expected it to. Because technically, it was true. They did love me in their way. But loving someone while constantly taking from them, without real respect or care, that's not love. That's control. That's ownership. Then Chloe chimed in, of course. I didn't even know it was your birthday dinner. Samantha just said you had your own plans. Don't drag me into this. Typical Chloe, first one to start backpedaling the second accountability even whispers her name. Dad Frank didn't say anything in the group chat at all. But a few hours later, he sent me a private message. Short, direct, and surprisingly raw. I messed up. You've done more for this family than we ever gave you credit for. I let your sister take the lead because it was easier than stepping up myself. I should have intervened a long time ago. You didn't deserve what happened. If you're willing, I'd like to sit down with you. Just us. That one caught me off guard. I didn't reply right away. Not because I was trying to be petty, but because I wanted to see what they'd all do without me. Sure enough, Mom, Linda, went the classic passive-aggressive Facebook route. You know the type. Family isn't about blood. It's about who stands by you. Or, some people only do nice things so they can hold it over your head later. Samantha, meanwhile, doubled down, started posting Instagram stories of cozy family dinners with her friends. Plenty of captions like, "At least these people show up." Chloe went silent, probably realizing any excuse she'd cook up would only make things worse. And Lucas? Lucas surprised me. He actually texted, "Hey man, just wanted to say. I get it now. At first, I thought you were blowing things out of proportion, but, yeah, that was messed up. If you ever want to hang out, just the two of us, I'm down. No pressure." I stared at that text way longer than I should have. Lucas was always caught somewhere in the middle, too quiet to defend me, too loyal to Samantha to speak up. But maybe now he was seeing things a little clearer. Still, I didn't respond. Not yet. Weeks passed. Mom, Linda, missed her rent deadline. I know. Because her building accidentally sent the overdue notice to me, I was still listed as her emergency contact. But I didn't call. I didn't pay. She figured it out herself. Eventually, Dad Frank missed his DMV renewal because the insurance had lapsed. Had to pay out of pocket. Updated his policy himself without calling me to bail him out. First time he'd handled it on his own in 6 years. Things were shifting. Then, on a random Saturday morning, there was another knock at my door. It was Dad Frank. No warning. No text. Just him standing there, holding 2 coffees. He looked older, grayer, tired in a way that wasn't just about sleep. I opened the door slowly. "You drove all the way up here?" I asked, caught between surprise and skepticism. He handed me one of the coffees. "Didn't think you'd answer the phone," he said with a sad smile. I stepped aside, letting him in without a word. "You were right," he said quietly, as we sat there sipping our coffee, watching some neighborhood kids ride by on bikes. We sat in that kind of silence that isn't uncomfortable, just heavy. Eventually, he broke it. "I read your message a few times," he said. "I needed to see it written down." I didn't realize just how blind I'd been. I didn't jump in. Didn't try to make him feel better. He kept going. "I let Samantha do too much of the talking. She's always been the loud one. You've always been the quiet one. And I guess I let her fill the silence." I nodded, slow. "She didn't just fill the space, Dad," I said. "She used it. Weaponized it." He winced like the words physically stung. "Yeah," he admitted, voice low. Another pause. "I'm not here asking for anything," he added quickly. "Not money, not favors. I came because I owe you something, an apology. Not because I'm losing something, but because I already lost something. You. And I don't want to keep losing you." That threw me a little. Because for the first time, maybe in my entire life, he was apologizing without strings attached. I set my coffee down. "Thank you," I said, voice rougher than I wanted it to be. That means more than you probably realize." He nodded, solemn. "I'm not perfect, but I'm learning. And I hope someday the rest of the family starts learning too." After he left, I just sat there, letting it all settle. I wasn't angry anymore. Not really. I was just tired. Tired of being the guy who kept the engine running while everyone else cruised along without a care. But now? Now they were finally learning what the road looked like without me behind the wheel. Weeks blurred into months. Samantha eventually sent a long email, half an apology, half deflecting blame. I didn't answer. Not because I hated her. I didn't. I just didn't trust her. Not yet. Mom, Linda, called a few more times. each call a little softer, a little more like the woman I remembered before all this. Eventually, I picked up. We talked. Not about the past, not about the bills, about nothing, about everything. She didn't ask for anything. I didn't offer. And that was the first real conversation we'd had in years. Lucas started visiting too. He even invited me over to his new apartment, a place he paid for all on his own. We sat on his mismatched couch, cracked a couple beers, and watched a game like brothers who didn't need to patch things up with words. I didn't go back to footing their bills. Instead, I started building something way more valuable. Boundaries. And shockingly, they started respecting them. Some days were awkward. Some days were healing. But for the first time in a long time, it was real. When my next birthday rolled around, I didn't book a restaurant. I didn't send a calendar invite. I didn't put a dime down in advance. Instead, I waited to see who would show up and what they'd be willing to bring to the table. And for the first time in my life, they actually did.